Dune 2, the movie I have been waiting for 3 years. It's about time. Let's talk Dune 2, the spice must flow. The movie I have been waiting for the past 3 years after I first saw Dune 1. And of course, before we get into that, don't forget to hit that like, comment, and subscribe button and check out the rest of my content now. You can also join us over on the Dragon's Den Discord. That'll be linked below. I'd love to have a chat with this movie about you over there. If you want it, if you've seen it, if you love Dune like I love Dune. I love Dune. Have I said that enough yet? Anyway, let's talk about Dune 2. You know, I've seen most of the adaptations of Dune that we have had available. The 1984 Dune, which honestly I think was absolutely terrible. This is the adaptation we've all been waiting for, and I absolutely love it. I got to see this movie last night, or yesterday afternoon, with my wonderful wife Marianne, and we just had a great time. I loved it. To put it simply, I loved this movie. It's been a long time since I've seen as good adaptations, and this will go on my list of the best adaptations ever, for sure. Anyway, let's talk a little bit about the Dune movie and Dune 2, specifically Dune 2022. So, of course, if you've seen the Dune 1 movie, we know we left the story off of the first half of the book when Paul Atreides and his mother, the Lady Jessica, find themselves with the Fremen of Arrakis after the absolute slaughter of their family at Arrakeen, the capital of Arrakis City, by the Harkonnens. So this has set the stage for the revolution that is coming forth in the Fremen Society on Dune, who have the sacred spice which is being harvested by the Emperor to allow space travel. If you know the story, you know the basic foundational idea behind the story right there. Dune is a fantastic tale that needs to be told right, and I do believe that these movies have done just that. One of the things that I really enjoyed about this movie and that I really liked is we really started to see the hero's arc journey of Paul Atreides start to come through so much better and more significantly than we have in previous films. We really see those points in which he is being praised as the hero that has been prophesied, but also refusing that call to adventure. But also, as we go through this, and he's consistent that I can't do this, he is insistent on refusing the call to adventure. But by the end of the story, he progresses through the stages of the hero's journey to the point where he is called to adventure. He not just is called, but he accepts that call to adventure, often to the resentment of some people that are very close to him. I think Timothée Chalamet has really come into this character more effectively than any other portrayal of Paul Atreides that I've seen. Beyond that, he just looks the right part and right age to effectively portray this character. As we know, his character in the Dune books, he's just 15, 16, 17 years old when he's called to adventure. And we need a young actor to be able to portray that effectively. And I think Timothée Chalamet has done a really good job portraying that. I think he's got the look. Now, anytime I think of Dune and the characters and Chani and Jessica and the Baron Harkonnen, Rabe and Fayed Rathu, the Emperor, the Empress, the Emperor's daughter, the princess. Every time I see all these characters and I think about them, these are the images that I'm now seeing within the Dune world, and I'm looking forward to doing a reread of Dune, as that's going to be happening shortly. That's my next planned book series reread, is in fact the Dune series. One of the things I really also liked about this is the sieges. Now, when I've read the book series of Dune, when I've talked about or read Dune, I always imagined these sieges were like these underground labyrinths of all these caves and interconnected tunnels and cave systems. You get the underground pools and things like that. This was not how it was shown within the movies. Now, they are, of course, very well hidden within the world of Arrakis, and I knew that they were underground, just they're kind of in the rock formations of mountains of Arrakis, absolutely, or mountains of Dune. But I like the way they portrayed, and it makes sense to me. They're actually portrayed more like actual buildings built underground, so it looks more like an actual city than it did in my vision of it when I was reading the books of these kind of underground interconnected tunnels and cave systems. So I thought that was a good representation of the sieges there on Arrakis, and I really enjoyed that aspect of it too. Some of the other aspects that I really enjoyed about this movie is when we see the Fremen just riding into battle on the backs of these giant sandworms. I mean, that is just awesome. I love seeing that, and wow, the sandworms in this movie, just they're so perfect. I can't describe any other way. I really like the look of the sandworms that they came up with in this movie. I like the interpretation of that, and that first scene where Paul is catching and riding his first worm, and he calls one of the biggest worms on Arrakis to him as part of this final test to prove that he has what it takes to be a member of the Fremen Society. And that one scene where he calls the worm and they're all cheering him on, and he grabs that worm and he rides it. It's just, wow, that was intense. It was awesome. I absolutely loved seeing that happen there on screen, and especially the riding the worms into battle. That was just fantastic. Absolutely love that, and just crazy awesome. I don't know how much more praise I could put on that. I just really love that aspect, or that portrayal of the worms in the battle and how the Fremen utilize it and use that. It was just really done so well. These worms are massive and giant and scary and terrifying and everything you want a sandworm to be in the Dune world. It just works so well. In this part of the story, we have the Lady Jessica drinking for the waters of life to become the Reverend Mother in this group of Fremen. And if you've read the books, and maybe this is a slight spoiler, I don't know, but if you read the books, you know that she was pregnant at the time. And she, of course, is one of the Bene Gesserit, the secret sisterhood of super powerful witch women, basically, that have been manipulating the genetic lines and dynasties of the big houses of the Landsred, the galactic big houses, for centuries on end. And she becomes the Reverend Mother. And I love that. Again, this might be a little bit of spoiler for the overall story, but I don't think it's a significant... Maybe it's a bit of a spoiler for the movie too. I don't know. If you're watching the movies and haven't read the books, go read the books, watch the movies. That's the order I always recommend things in. So none of this would be spoilery really for those who have read the books. Anyway, the communication between the Lady Jessica and her growing baby inside of her is... I like the way that is portrayed within this. And I think it's worked well in the subtleties there and without a lot of info dump and explanation. It's one of those things that you kind of... if you haven't read the books, maybe you won't quite get what's going on there or why that's happening the way it is or why it's working the way it is. But that's one of the things I liked about this movie is a lot of science fiction adaptation is holding your hand and giving you all these info dumps from people who maybe haven't read anything about it. But with this Dune movie, it really... it doesn't hold your hand. Now, it doesn't do things in a way that would leave you completely confused on what's going on, of course, but at the same time, it's trying to stay true to the intent of the material, of the original material. Now, it's been a long time since I have actually read the Dune books, and I will confess that I don't think I could point to any one aspect of it that was significantly different from the original books themselves, because it has been a really long time. But what I can say is I think that they are doing a fantastic job taking the story of Dune and putting that into a film adaptation type of adaptation, and I think they're doing a really good job of that overall. They've got the story worked out well. They're following the storyline as we would want them to follow, and I know there's been changes. I can't really point out exactly where the changes have been, because like I said, it's been a really long time since I've actually read the Dune books, but there hasn't been anything so significant that I'm thinking, that's not Dune. Unlike some other adaptations that we know well, which we shall not speak of in Wheel of Time, that had significant changes to these plot and characters and how they developed the way they did. But anyway, that's a whole nother matchup. Overall, they're following the story well. The Lady Jessica's pregnant. She took the water of life. Her baby is affected by this, and I love seeing how that was portrayed on screen. So far, I'm honestly just really loving everything about this. With any adaptation of any beloved book series, one thing that's really important to me is how well do you maintain the key messaging and the key ideas behind the story that is being told. And these movies are doing a fantastic job of maintaining that idea of behind Dune, the key messaging behind Dune, of the dangers of religious fanaticism and how people could be so easily manipulated and controlled by ideas of prophecy, religion, and gods. I really love how Dune is really capturing that essence in these films and doing such a good job of that, especially when we're looking at the Freeman culture who are worshipping Paul Atreides as Lisan al-Gaib, Muad'Dib, and the worship behind what has been prophesied, and the Freemen who are following those prophecies with religious fanaticism. I really like the key messaging behind that, and even the bit of division that we see between different groups of Fremen, those who believe and those who are skeptical. I think that's been done really, really well in these movies, and I really want to see more of the whole Dune universe adapted someday. And who knows, maybe it will happen. One thing that I will say about this is the floating Baron Vladimir Harkonnen. Now, in the books, this can come across as kind of like menacing and, intimidating in quite a way. But I'm sorry, floating fat guy in the air is never going to look not cheesy to me. And I thought that with the first movie, that was kind of cheesy. He just kind of floats up above the air and hovers above everything. But it will never not look cheesy to me. The visual representation just looks funny and cheesy to me. I don't know. That's just me, maybe. Maybe you thought differently. But at the end of the day, I gotta say that this was just a great film, a great movie, fantastic adaptation, and it's definitely hitting my list of the greatest adaptations of all time, of my favorite films or my favorite books. And I really hope that for future adaptations, we will see something on this level. That to do it well, you gotta have the resources to do it. And these films definitely have proven they've got the funding, they've got the resources, they got the means to do a good adaptation. And not just doing an adaptation for the sake of adapting material. Do it right, do it well, and it will pay off. As the box office numbers have demonstrated, these movies are incredibly successful and worth the investment for these adaptations. And when you make your fans happy, you're going to be more successful, not just drawing in new fans, but keeping your fan base happy. And that is so important. And at the end of the day, these movies have done an incredible job. Congratulations, Villeneuve. You have done an incredible job adapting these beloved works. And I think it's just great. Anyway, at the end of the day, this movie only left me with one question. When is Dune 3 coming out? Until next time, thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Check out the links down below. Join us over on the Dragon's Den Discord. And until next time, keep on reading. Bye!